Hi sir, my name is Lau Yongqing and now I'm going to present our assignment. First, I would like to introduce my member, which is Ng Zibing, Gohan Han Yi, and Lai Guan Yu.
All right. So, in regards to the Mars Lab Solutions Sendirian Berhad, it is an IT company based in Johor Bahru with a branch office in Kuala Lumpur. They market themselves as a technology solution provider, which is to say that they offer digital solutions for their clients' business needs. For example, like sales and purchases, communication, or management issues. And their clients can, well, the company can customize set solutions based on their client specific needs. And in in terms of how they operate, they typically follow this process roadmap, which is first gather information and consultation to basically gain insight about their clients' problems, and then design and develop based around the issues that the client had faced. And after they finish develop, they will begin to test and review their product, with which they refine over time into a final product on its own that they are able to market. And in terms of, and they mainly offer four services, which is the web application, the design of web application. We'll talk about the e-commerce website later. Mobile app development, backend development, and desktop application development. Now, here you can see the pricing plan for web application, e-commerce, and hosting. So, web application is basically a website for a company, a startup company, or any corporations. E-commerce is ancillary to the web application, in which it's a more interactive, a more commercial-based website, again marketed to businessmen. Hosting, on the other hand, is basically where Mars Lab Solution acts as a network host provider. Any add-ons or customization may affect the pricing, so this is just an example they gave. And that's it for the description.
Thank you, Zibing. And my name is Gohan Yi. And now I would like to present about the key problem in MarsLab solution. Okay, the first key problem is optimized business process. To improve the organization efficiency, MarsLab solution must simplify the organization business process. The benefit is to let the organization reduce costs, increase productivity, and efficiency will improve. The organization existing workflows will analyzed by the MarsLab solution. They find out the bottleneck and provide an optimized process utilizing technology, such as a workflow management system and data analytics. Okay, for the second risk is the risk management and cybersecurity. Nowadays, the organization face security problem and risk because there are many hacking tools to attack their system. One-step solution can provide organization with some security policies, such as analyzing network architecture and threat detection to protect the client system. MarsLab solution implements the project with security, compliance, and privacy to the client. Okay, the third key problem is the software integration. The MarsLab solution works with the organization and develop the special requirement of the client and use their requirement to create a custom software application. The existing software application from the organization will analyze by the MarsLab solution, assess the difference between software and design a more secure and user-friendly software application. Okay, the fourth key problem is the design a user-friendly interface and enhance user experience. The user-friendly experience is most important that MarsLab solution needs to focus on. They analyze the behavior of the user and test the enhance the user satisfaction level for the interface. They design an interface that attract user and improve user experience. And the last key problem is the management service, which is MassLab's solution lets client focus on their business process and keeps maintenance to the business. And WordPress is provided by the MassLab solution, which is used for automatic update. Moreover, the latest version of PHP programming can use for static caching for the client website. It is used to improve the performance of the website. The client can request to turn it off and add layer. And for the problem of MassLab solution, which means that after the interview, we found that the MassLab solution didn't scan the software system for vulnerability scans and penetration tests of important system. This will cause their data loss, stolen by others, and security breach without scanning vulnerabilities and penetration will let the attacker easily access the sensitive data in the system and steal the data. The security breach means that when software systems are undetected, the vulnerabilities and penetration increase the risk of the attacker accessing the system without permission. Okay, the MassLab solutions may analyze the key problem to make their client more satisfied. MassLab solution can develop a more innovative solution for the client. Okay, lastly, the MassLab solution face this challenge can make the organization more truthfully to them. And thank you. This is my present, and I will pass my mic to Lai Guan Yu.
So my name is Lai Guan Yi, and I'm going to talk about approach to risk assessment. So for the first, what is risk assessment? Risk assessment is the process of locating potential threats to a company's capacities to conduct business. This analysis assists in identifying these innate business risks and offer countermeasures, procedures, and controls to lessen their negative effect on daily operations. The methods of risk assessments that we choose to use for this assignment is the quantitative method. Next, quantitative risk assessment is a formal and systematic approach using measurable, objective data to determine the value of an asset's likelihood of loss and the other associated risks. We can identify the possible hazards to our project using quantitative risk analysis. This might assist you in determining whether a project is worthwhile. It also helps in the creation of a project management plan. Next, the reason that why we choose quantitative risk assessments. The first reason is using quantitative risk assessments provide more objective information and accurate data than qualitative analysis. Because quantitative risk assessment is based on realistic and measurable data, which is used to calculate the impact value of risk and the probability of occurrence. The second reason is detailed information. It breaks down projects by the expected cost of each potential risk. This allows us to focus our mitigation efforts on risks that are considered most likely or costly. The third reason is improved decision making by creating a risk assessment using objective measures. We are involved in decision makings and can accurately assess potential risks. This can help us to make the best decision for our company. The last reason is client confidence. Since there is limited space for interpretations, the specifics of a quantitative appraisals may give potential client more confidence when we deliver project appraisals. Giving our clients specific figures on potential financials hedges will enable them to decide on proposals with greater assurance. That's all for my part.
Next, I'm going to talk about the top 20 risks. First is data leakage due to employee working from home. The carelessness of employee will lead to the leakage of company asset. For example, employee encounter security threats at home because of home Wi-Fi is not secure as company. A weak access control when employees share their work device or neglect to secure them properly. This can lead to unauthorized individual gaining access to company data. Lack of data encryption when remote work setup is an absence of proper encryption measures can make data transmission more vulnerable to interception. The mitigation plan for data leakage is advise employees to use secure Wi-Fi network at home, encourage them to set strong password and enable network encryption and regularly update their work home router firmware to mitigate potential vulnerabilities. The monitoring plan for the data leakage is use network monitoring tool to identify any abnormal network activity or illegal resource access attempt. Monitor any indication of authorized data transfer or data exploitation in network traffic. The emergency response plan for the data leakage is establish a clear procedure for incident identification, escalation, and reporting, and provide staff with methods to report suspected data leaking situation quickly. To stop additional data loss and to control the situation, conduct a thorough investigation to ascertain the extent and impact of the data leakage occurrence, then isolate any compromised system or devices. Next, post-skill developers. Finding a proficient web development team for your project may present more challenges than initially anticipated. Companies might lack knowledge about on individual available, the specific development requirements, where and how to locate such suitable candidates, and their associated costs. Though some developers may initially appear competent, they might ultimately struggle to resolve complex coding challenges. Mitigation plan. The company first comprehend the project business objectives and how the developer can best assist you in achieving them and create an efficient hiring procedure. Monitoring plan. Implement a code review procedure where more experienced developers check the work of less experienced developers and keep track of the tasks given to less experienced developers to make sure they are moving ahead steadily. Emergency response plan. Determine the urgent needed tasks and determine whether developers with low skill level can complete them. Spread tasks around the teams or allocate assignments to developers with greater skill to guarantee prompt completion and assist less experienced developers in overcoming their obstacles. Offer further training, guidance, or coaching. Next, fail to meet project expectation or delivering a poor result. The company might not deliver the project on time or meet the requirement. There are many reasons why this might occur, and it is not always the company fault. In some cases, the client vision and what the company procedure are completely different, while in other cases, the vendor is unable to keep their promise. Mitigation plan. Create a detailed project scope and contract that describe the project's goal, deliverable, deadlines, and specification. Monitoring plan. Monitoring and tracking the project lifecycle on an ongoing schedule will help detect any errors or potential problems early on. Emergency response plan. By opening straightforward channel of contact with consumer, companies may quickly handle any issue or discrepancies that arise while also involving consumer in the resolution process. Next. Company lack of experience and knowledge. With fewer years of experience, it may be difficult your firm to gain trust from other companies. Most companies nowadays look for a skilled partner, so an entity with less understanding of services is generally avoided. Mitigation plan. Partner together with knowledge individual or consultant that can provide direction and experience in fields where your company lack expertise. Monitoring plan. To improve the skill and knowledge of an employee, invest in continual training and development programs, and encourage staff to stay current on the most recent industry trends, technology and best practice through meetings, training sessions, and online resource. Emergency response plan. Create a monitoring program for less experienced employee in your company so that experienced employee can coach and guide them. Next, poor communication in a company. Too much of communication gap with the client will cost a lot of time, money, and even worse is missing the deadline. Poor communication will result in inaccurate reports that do not accurately reflect the project status. Failure to accurately determine the stakeholders' prospect and lack of commitment to the project, and slow response between developers to update the latest situation. Mitigation plan. Establish a framework for effective communication that includes frequent meeting, transparent reporting structure, and specific channels to enable efficient information exchange, promote open and honest communication among team members and with clients. Monitoring plan. Frequently conduct evaluation to ensure the effectiveness of communication between the employee and clients, and also need to pay attention and solve the conflict between employees. Emergency response plan. If there are conflict within a company, top management must treat every employee fairly and give appropriate punishment. Despite the uncertainty problem, the company must have a second social media from client to be able to communication friendly. Next, I pass my mic to Lai Guanju.
So for the sixth risk is estimate costs can be challenging on occasions. Over budgets will occur frequently. Nearly every project encounters an unforeseen challenge that developers must address. These unexpected hurdles can sometimes result in increased labor costs due to the additional times and manpower required to overcome them. So for the mitigation plan, the development teams for the company must have a distinct understanding of the function and features of the final web product to prevent unnecessary dissatisfactions. All of this should be explicitly addressed by the scope of work and contract that all parties agree upon. Monitoring plans. The company needs to monitor and examine its budget. For example, create a system for tracking and monitoring project costs on a regular basis. Emergency response plan. The company can optimize how resources are allocated, research project priorities, or exploit alternative solutions. Next, the company may not have a proper backup plans. Without a routine backups, there is a high risk that the company will lose crucial data because of hardware malfunctions, software errors, cyber attacks, or unintentional deletions. Critical cost repositories, client data, project files, and others priceless data may be permanently lost because of this. Integration brand. Implementing a true backup plan that includes routine backups of project files, database, and others important data. For the monitoring plan, the company should regular testing and conduct to verify the success completion of backups and assess the effectiveness. Emergency response plan. When a system fails or data is lost, the first thing is to do is start the recovery process right away, and should also hire IT specialists or backup specialists to get the most recent backups and restore the data as soon as possible. Next, employees may forget to backup the data daily. Without consistent backups, the company goes a higher risk of losing crucial data in the case of hardware failure, software errors, unintentional deletions, or security breach. Integration plans. Companies should inform staff of the value of data backup and the precise steps to take and hold frequent training sessions. Monitoring plan. The backup system of our crucial data should be periodically audited, and QA teams should check backup logs or report to make sure backup are being carried out in accordance with the started schedule and regulations. Emergency response plan. Initiate the process of reconstructing and rebuilding the data using alternative sources. to work together with relevant teams or departments to collect any available partial data and recreate the missing information. Next. Consistently introducing new ideas from the team's leader will cause a hectic environment. Training and equipping the development teams with these concepts can take a lot of time to work. It might also be necessary to look into best practice and develop the necessary abilities to put the ideas into practice. Mitigation plan. Before presenting new ideas to the development teams, establish a clear procedures for assessing and ranking them. Monitoring plan. Ask the development team for advice frequently regarding the effects of introducing fresh concepts on their workload and performance. Emergency response plan. To assist team members in acquiring the essential abilities and information on the new concepts being presented, provide specialized training. Next. Technical issue in a company, like application not scalable and stable. If an application was developed by a previous team without considering scalability, this can present challenges in meeting performance expectations. Application can experience crash due to various factors such as broad compatibility issues, improper memory usage, critical production bugs, and others. Integration plan. Perform a comprehensive evaluation of the current application and system, including the architectural, code-based data structure, and infrastructure to identify specific areas that need enhancement to achieve improvement scalability. Monitoring plan. Check application logs frequently to spot errors, expectations, and warnings that might indicate technical problems. Emergency response plan. Set up a group of IT departments or IT experts to handle urgent technical difficulties in the right way. If an unexpected technical issues arise, immediately make a complete backup plans of all works and data.
Thank you, Guanyu. And now I will continue the 11 risks. Sometimes company hardware is too old or outdated will cause failure. Obsolete hardware may not possess the necessary processing power, memory, and storage capacity to effectively handle modern web development tools and software. Consequently, this can lead to sluggish performance, prolonged loading times, and reduced productivity for the development teams. There is a chance that newer hardware won't work with framework, development tools, or software versions. Compatibility problems, software bugs, and a lack of access to the newest feature and functionalities can result from this. Collaboration with clients and partners who employ more recent technology might also be hampered. For the mitigation plan, for this risk to replace outdated technology with newer, more convenient gear, create an upgrade strategy and budget. And the monitoring plan is deploy monitoring solution to consistently evaluate the performance metrics of hardware elements like CPU, memory, and storage. Additionally, collect input from the development teams concerning the effect of hardware performance on their productivity. And the emergency response plan for this risk is in the event of hardware failure or performance decline, it is essential to promptly initiate troubleshooting procedure to identify the underlying cause. Simultaneously, diligently document all observation and communicate the issue status and severity to the IT department for resolution. And the 12th risk is scope of work, which is a web development company will face 3 risks related to the scope of work. First is work scope is not well defined, and the risk is in failing to notice critical information or in defining the scope of work incorrectly. The second is scope creep, which is the term for unforeseen adjustment and unchecked expansion of a project scope. Scope creep can result in project failure, increased expenditures, and failure to fulfill deadline. And the third is unnecessary feature addition is regarded as a poor management practice and a source of increased risk in terms of expenditures, human resource, time testing, and etc. And for the mitigation plan for this risk is utilize strong project management technique to avoid adding features that are not necessary, to control scope-related risks and meet the deadline successfully. And monitoring plan. The schedule periodic meetings with project stakeholders such as client, project manager, and development teams to regularly review and validate the established scope of work. These meetings serve as a platform to evaluate and confirm the defined scopes, ensuring that all crucial details are captured accurately and any uncertainties or omissions are promptly addressed. And the emergency response plan is to engage process stakeholder as soon as possible to obtain any crucial information that is still missing and to resolve any question about the work scope. And the 13th risk is company may become outdated if it fails to keep up with the latest trend. This can lead to a loss of competitiveness, reduced market demand, and a decline in customer satisfaction if the company does not concentrate on the market competitors and trends in its deliveries. And the mitigation plan for this risk is a company may conduct periodic market research to determine the new trend, consumer the preference, and reverse the product lines. To keep ahead of the competition, a company should encourage its staff to suggest and investigate fresh ideas, technology, and technologies. And for the monitoring plan, to find opportunity for improvement and make sure that the company is keeping up with the most recent trend. The company should monitor and evaluate these indicators on a regular basis. Following up with customer evaluations, feedback, and demands to spot new trends also important. And the emergency response plan. If the company cannot follow up on the latest trend in the industry, it should hire leaders to stay informed about the latest trend, or else it will lose their competition in the industry. And next page is the 14 risk. Is disengaged stakeholder can cause various negative impact on a project. Which means that the failure to properly identify or involve stakeholders in a project is a mistake that can result in a lack of commitment and the failure to develop a successful web. And the mitigation plan in this risk is each stakeholder needs, expectation, and interest must be truly analyzed by the company. The level of influence, strength, and expected impact on the project should all be considered in this analysis. And the monitoring plan. Create feedback channels to collect opinions and suggestions from interest parties. Utilize this input to evaluate stakeholders' satisfaction and pinpoint any potential problem. And the emergency response plan is immediately release the strategy for engaging stakeholder and identify the cause of disagreement Evaluate if there are any misunderstanding, conflicting expectation, or unresolved issue that require attention. And the 15th risk is team or employees resignation. The developer may become ill or abruptly leave a project in the middle of the team switch over, making it challenging for another developer to finish the object and cause the deadline will be challenging to meet. Some novice developer might need sometimes to learn a new programming language, piece of software or hardware element. And the mitigation plan for this risk is to showing your team members that you value them by taking the time each year to modify their salaries based on cost of living adjustment, sustain excellent performance, or recent professional and educational achievement. And the monitoring plan for this risk is always keep track on each employee's productivity and workload. Keep a look alert for any significant change in productivity or indications of tiredness, as this could be precursors to risky resignation scenarios. To reduce the risk of employees' churn, quickly fix and work or performance difficulties. And the emergency response plan is recognizing the difficulties and offering support in handling an increased workload or new responsibilities, give the team emotional support and reassurance, and encourage open communication and a positive work environment to address any worries or stress brought on by the resignation. And now I pass my mic to Zibeng.
Thank you, Hani. And now I will elaborate on the risk 16 to 20. Now, risk 16 is insufficient employee knowledge about cyber threats and information assurance. Now, some employees may lack training to recognize and defend themselves from cyber threats, making them vulnerable from social engineering attacks, which will take advantage of their insufficient knowledge by persuading them to divulge private information or grant those hackers unauthorized access. And now to the mitigation. The mitigation plan for such a risk is to launch awareness campaigns to encourage an organization-wide cybersecurity culture and promote common threats, best practices, and reporting procedures via newsletters, emails, etc., as well as give staff members quick access to resources such as instructions, checklists, online references for them to refer to whenever they discover a potential cyber threat. As for the monitoring plan, the company will analyze the efficiency of the information assurance and cyber threat training programs offered to staff on a regular basis, as well as regularly use tests, quizzes, or surveys to determine the employees' sufficient knowledge on cyber threats, and examine the findings to locate areas that may require reinforcement or additional development. And in terms of emergency responses, the company should prioritize the performance of employees who do not pass set cyber threat tests or quizzes, and then assign them to join to learn from senior colleagues or retake the test until they meet the required standard. Then next risk, please. And next we have employee sabotage. A frustrated worker with access to important systems and data may purposefully harm or delete crucial files, resulting in business interruptions, loss of invaluable data, and protracted downtime. They may also exploit their access to these systems for personal benefits, leading to potential legal ramifications, erosion of clients' trust in the company, and harm to the company's competitive position. For the mitigation plans of such a risk, the company should implement a role-based access control system where employees only have access to information necessary for their job responsibilities, and regularly review and update access permissions to ensure they align with current roles and responsibilities. On to monitoring plan, the company should analyze logs on a regular basis to look for any unauthorized or questionable activity on the system, and proceed to warn security staff in real time when specific predetermined events or thresholds are reached, as to alert the security staff, so to speak. And finally, on the emergency response plan, should such an emergency emerge, the company should launch a plan that describes what should be done in an event that an employee sabotage the company's operation, and isolate the impacted systems, keep records from the main system, perform a thorough investigation, and contact to the police if it's necessary. Risk 18, installing an unauthorized third-party antivirus software in a web development company. Now, the company may use frameworks or libraries or development tools that are otherwise incompatible with some antivirus software, which would lead to conflicts and instability and inability to perform basic tasks. Plus, antivirus software can use up resources, thus affecting how efficient the development tools can operate, which in turn will result in increased response times and slower build times. For the mitigation plan for this, the company should ensure only technical teams are authorized to install or change software on company-owned devices to reduce the possibility of unauthorized installs. And to monitor them, the company should monitor the flow of network data to detect any unusual actions involving the downloading, installing, or updating of software, as well as consistently examine data logs to identify any instances where unauthorized software changes have been made. And should an emergency arises, the company should respond by disable or delete the unauthorized antivirus software to reduce the risk and isolate the compromised system or network segment from the rest of the system infrastructure. And here we have the risk of power outage, which in turn can cause prolonged downtime and interfere with a web development company's regular operations. During such a downtime, employees may not access the system and communications will be hampered. And any sudden power outage while the system is active can also result in data loss or corruptions. Security measures such as firewall will be disabled during the outage as well, making the system vulnerable to cyber threats. To mitigate the risk of a power outage, the company should offer immediate power in preparation of such an event. They should have backup power sources such as an uninterrupted power supply or UPS systems or backup generators. And to monitor them, the company must place power monitoring systems to monitor and analyze power usage, voltage levels, and potential fluctuations so as to prevent any outages from happening. But should an outage did happen in an emergency, the company in an emergency should keep a record of every aspect of the power outage incident, including its length, effects, and responses, and during which time all non-essential equipment must be shut down safely. Finally, we have access cards for employees. Access card for employees when they enter working areas. Access cards that are lost, stolen, or shared by staff members will raise the possibility of unauthorized individuals using company systems or restricted areas, jeopardizing the security of sensitive data. To mitigate it, the company must establish a robust access control system that necessitates employees to utilize access cards for entry or exit during the designated work areas, as well as perform regular maintenance checks to ensure the system's dependability and effectiveness. And in order to monitor the employees' accessibility, they should consistently analyze access logs and audit trails to monitor employee entry and promptly respond to any irregularities if detected. And in terms of emergency response plans, the company would immediately notify security personnel of access, card-related emergencies, if unauthorized access attempts are detected, and interrogate the intent of those who were found to have maliciously entered. And that's all from us. Thank you very much.